Hi. Wait, I can't hear you.
That's because I need to unmute myself. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Okay, yeah. Are you in the park?
I am. I am in my house.
What, and are the boys at school or no?
So Jack is doing school from here.
Okay.
So we signed up for, I don't know how familiar you are with what the options were.
Yeah.
We signed up for the second one where we can send him when we're comfortable.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah. So James went back last week.
Oh, okay. And how did you decide to send him back?
I don't know.
Okay. Did he want to go?
He did want to go.
Okay.
Hello. And he did want to go, and honestly, I needed him to go so that I could do some of these things.
Yeah. I hear that.
So yeah, it was a hard decision, but
yeah. I mean,
what do you do?
Blossom where you're planted,
For sure, every day.
This is what we're doing now.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely, yeah. I mean, today I'm good with it. Tomorrow, who knows?
How is Jack doing on Zoom?
He's doing okay. So middle school is they just would go 2 days a week.
Yeah.
So his Zooms, he has 4 classes, 3 of them are Zoom. One is PE, which isn't.
Right.
So he's fine. He's pretty.
So you know some of the kids on the call?
He does. Yeah, he does know some of the kids. And it's he's in the classroom with the teacher teaching, is how that works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, everybody's got something different going on, so it's always an interesting conversation.
It is. I'm always very curious as to what people have decided.
Yeah.
And how they're doing it. There's I didn't realize how many options there were until this year.
Yeah, well, I know. And then depending on the school, if it's middle school, high school, or elementary, it's all like, oh wait, you only have school this day or that,
Very, yeah. If I know what day is today. Today is Thursday, right?
Yeah, today's Thursday.
Okay,
I thought it was Wednesday because we used to do these on Wednesday pre-COVID, but Thursday.
Yes.
Here's Liz.
Hi, Liz. How are you?
Sorry. I'm just kidding. Look at her getting up close to me.
I know. I'm like,
Kelly. Days. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How's it going?
It's going good. How about with you?
It's going really well. Today.
Okay, so we have
Cora, Heather.
Oh, I thought that looked familiar.
Hi, Cora.
Hi, Cora. You're just a little square. Hey, guys.
And we have Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi. Is that Ellie?
And Ellie.
Okay.
And Adair.
Oh, hi. Y'all, we have you on a screen where your little heads are like yay big. And I'm like, who is that?
I love it. And I can see that my friend Liz from Maryland is called in. Hi,
okay.
Hello.
Oh, yay.
Hello.
I sent it to one of my friends in Alabama. I don't know if she'll zoom in or not.
I love, I mean, if there's anything to be said about this time, I love the fact that we can have conversations that are meaningful across the country, all over the world. I mean, and across the world. It's so great.
Yeah,
totally.
Cool.
Yay, positivity 2020.
Yay, Julie.
Yay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started because we usually have so much to talk about that we don't have time to talk about at all. So for those of you whom I don't know, like Liz, I am Meredith Adams. I'm one of the co-founders of Mindfulness for Mamas, along with Kirsten Barney and Haley Deming, who aren't here today. I have done a little bit of everything. I've been a teacher, been a lawyer, I've been really involved in the nonprofit world. Last year, right before the shutdown, I was working 2 days a week as a lawyer, but stopped doing that so I could do full-time Zoom school. So I have 3 elementary age students, and this year we're homeschooling. We hired a teacher who's teaching 3 subjects and I'm teaching 2 subjects. And so that's what we're doing this year. That's where I am now. Every year I feel like since having children, it's been a little different. It's like, anyway. When we start these conversations, we usually start with a little meditation, which I will lead today. I'll talk a little bit about the meditation that I practice. It's called Transcendental Meditation. It's TM. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. It got really popular in the 60s and 70s when the Beatles went to India. You know, the pictures of him with the Maharishi. I know, and I'm like, a lot of people will see me and be like, you don't strike me as, you know, like that. But it has since, in the past 10 or 20 years, it's really gotten taken up by also a more type A cohort. Like you'll see Wall Street bankers talking about how they couldn't live without TM, or extreme athletes or something. And now the Mayo Clinic and the American Heart Association endorse it as a way of just minimizing your stress. And a lot of times when people ask me if I have a mindfulness practice, I'm not very quick to say yes, even though I do TM, because I don't necessarily think of it as mindfulness. I think of it kind of as brain exercise, but when I'm done, I don't necessarily feel, you know, happy or joyful. I just feel super clear. Like I just have a sense of clarity and calm that lasts throughout the day. But if anybody has any questions about it, there's tons of information on the internet about TM, and there's a training center here on Broadway where you can get trained. It is kind of a big commitment. They want you to do 20 minutes of meditation in the morning and 20 in the afternoon. And yeah, for me, when I got trained, I had 3 preschool kids, and I was like, you know, so I had to kind of, I've had to sort of adapt it to my own lifestyle. One of the things they'll tell you is that they want you to wake up before anyone else in the house is awake, before you've had your coffee, and do your meditation. And you're like, but my son wakes up at 4:30. So that, you know, when he was 3 years old, I was like, that doesn't work. So anyway, it's a great practice. I highly recommend it. Basically what you do for the 20 minutes is you repeat a mantra. They assign you a mantra and you just repeat the mantra. And there's obviously, they have a good explanation for what that does to your brain while you're doing it. But today I'll give you all a mantra and it'll be totally silent. I think usually when we do these meditations, they're guided and someone's talking you through it. But for this one, I'll just tell you the mantra and you will just close your eyes and repeat it to yourself at whatever speed, whatever, you can come in and out of the mantra. And then after 3 minutes, we'll end it. And it's really nice. I mean, at the same time that you're repeating the mantra, you know, you're still aware of everything that's going on. And one thing that I love is a group meditation where you kind of, even though it's silent, you feel a little buzz in the room. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we'll feel that over Zoom, but so the mantra today is Mama. And don't fixate too much on Mama. It's not like, you know, you don't choose your mantra to be happy or something so that you're going to be happy. It's just something that you can repeat. But Mama does kind of, you know, have a nice little rhythm to it. Mama, Mama.
Question, is it
Yes,
typically just a word or sometimes a mantra can be a sentence?
In TM, I think they assign you each a word.
Okay.
We're not allowed to tell our mantras, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, gotcha.
It's kind of a joke. I have another friend who practices TM, and he's always like, "You gonna tell me your word?" And I'm like, "I'll tell you your word." So anyway, when I start us off, if everyone can just close their eyes and repeat Mama in your mind, just kind of over and over at whatever pace, whatever feels good to you. And let me get my, we'll start now. Everybody will close their eyes and start your mantra. Okay, you can open your eyes. Hopefully everybody's feeling kind of calm, a little clearer. And we can get on with our talk with Julie. So our special guest star today is Julie Tobiason. Julie, like most of us, has done a lot of different things. She has been an elementary and preschool teacher. She's been a professional organizer. She most recently was the head of Bright Beginnings Preschool here at St. John's. And during the shutdown, or around that time, right before it, she decided to make a career change. So I want her to tell us a little bit. We're going to get to sort of talking to her about organization, but I want her to tell us a little bit about why she decided to make that change, because I think that's interesting to all of us as women who try to think about what we should do for work and when and how. So Julie, what made you make the change?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me today. This is a delight. And while we were sitting here and sharing the mantra, I mean, I definitely, for those of you who know me well, know that I can get teary quickly. And so I immediately teared up knowing that what an honor it is and a gift it is to be able to be doing something I really want to do in a space and time when, you know, things are challenging. So to the career change piece. So yes, most recently I was the director of Bright Beginnings Preschool in Jackson. And, you know, I loved all of the parts of that job that were extremely fulfilling to me. So the connections with the students, oh my stars, like, I mean, wonderful connections, the connections with my staff, the connections with the parents on, you know, day-to-day level. The fact that I was able to see parents and chat with parents nearly on a daily basis was so life-giving to me. The reason for the change was that I would go home at the end of the day and be depleted and not able in the way that I need to be for myself, able to give my family what they needed every day. And this is not, my family never told me this. You know, I was completely supported in any decision I've made professionally and for our family, but I felt that I was not doing the work that I needed to do on a familial and global scale. And I loved this position of being able to set my own schedule, being able to say yes when things are working for me, say no when things are not working for me, and know that I have a gift to share. And that is really life-giving to me. And so that was the reason for the change. Unfortunately, you know, COVID happened after the change was decided. And so, you know, there was that whole, what do you do? What do you do? What do I do? Do I continue with this decision? Do I go back? And, you know, my heart said, no, you need to listen to yourself. Yes, things are going to be challenging for everyone, everything involved, but at the same time, if I'm not modeling for my kids that I'm doing what I want to do in the way I want to do them, then I'm not doing what I was called here to do.
And so tell us a little bit about your new endeavor. I call you a professional organizer. When I think of that, I think of someone who's going to organize your things, like come and open all your closets or your garage or your pantry. And I'm wondering if you're doing that, or are you doing schedules and people? Like, tell me what would a typical sit down with a client be?
So what a typical sit down with a client, and it's interesting because, you know, professional organizing is definitely something that people are for sure hearing about, especially now with, you know, the Home Edit, which is on Netflix, if you've been watching that or if you've seen it, and multiple people do this profession. So yes, that is a piece of it. I think for me, the piece, and those are the things that I can come in and do for clients, and those are the things that I'm doing for clients. For me, it's also the conversations about why. What is it about your space or your time or that you are trying to get back or you're trying to have a handle on? And so a lot of it is also like a coaching aspect. So I'm taking some courses in coaching so that I'm prepared to have conversations that really hope to get to the root of the why for folks and why they want to clear a space or what's going on that I can help with. So it just depends on what it is. Everybody's different. It could be a junk drawer.
Yeah.
It could be a closet. It could be a garage. It could be my kids' area for homeschooling. It could be, I can't get rid of this. Can you help me figure out a way to do that? It varies. That's another piece I love about it, is that you never know. Every day is different.
Yeah. And what are your clients telling you when they call you and they say, I've got this thing I can't organize? How is that affecting them? Or what is
So typically, I would say overall, the arching piece has been thus far, it's just too much. There's too much, and I'm trying to simplify or just let something go, just for there to be some sort of order. And usually I would say every time that I've talked with a client, it's always been about that. I don't know if you've heard of the Gretchen Rubin book, but the outer order, inner calm. It's to get to that root of this outer chaos or whatever it could be. And it might not, chaos is such a loaded word. It could be, I don't know how to get through this closet of clothes, and I need either some guidance or I need somebody to say, yeah, totally, let's do it. Let's do it together. I need a buddy, then that's typically what I'm seeing.
So one of my questions does touch on that simplicity piece. Do you think that in order to achieve organization, we have to simplify? Because I feel like as the kids get older, there's just more and more stuff. There's more gear, there's more sports stuff, there's more this. And I'm like, if we have to simplify, I might have a big problem. I don't have a lot of extra stuff. It's just they have all their stuff, and then gear and the different activities and the
yes I would I think it's going to look different for every family. And I think that is when I meet with families or meet with clients, it's what's your goal? Like, what do you want it to look like? Because at the same time, there's going to be stuff. Like, personally, I'm not a minimalist. I can't be. I love books too much. I love the fact that we like to ski. I love the fact that we like to cook. So the things that we hold on to and that we enjoy are the things that we actually use. So for us, in my circumstance with my family, the things that we declutter or pass along to someone else are the things that we aren't using and don't need anymore. One of my favorite things is a child outgrows something, bye. Other than the fact that I have 2 boys, and so I do hang on to the clothes in between, but I also, there's still that drastic cut of like, I don't need to save every little thing that they wore because this one has stains or this one's not going to make it, or so it's just, it depends. I don't know. For me, I like the word simplify because I think it sets my mind to what needs to be done for our house, but I think it looks different for everybody and everybody's needs.
And so when you meet with a client, are you typically meeting with the wife? I'm wondering, I know.
Yes,
but
and that honestly, so that one of the
do you ever see a rub with the husband, or she's getting rid of my stuff, or like I'm always organizing and neatening, and my husband's always making catastrophic messes, and so I didn't know if that comes into it.
So if you know my family, Yes, I will say that it's typically thus far been the female in the relationship who I am working with. And I will say, and I mean, uh, I'm not going to throw my husband under the bus, but we are both very different in the way that we organize / go through life, in how we handle things. So I feel in some ways I have a really good training living in the house that I live in for those conversations. And so, there's always the question of, who is this for? I'm not mediating.
Yeah.
So typically the thing that I recommend is that, for example, I would go through maybe if it's a family, the wife's things or the thing that she's looking for that she wants to see clarity with, and kind of give some coaching opportunities as to how it could look. And then if you sit in that experience and you and I live through that in my way, typically it will rub off in some way. So it might not be the way that one person envisions it, but if we're getting to how to simplify and organize, declutter all of those parts in a way that works for the whole, then typically people gravitate and hold on to it. And that also goes with knowing and finding out about your client and learning about their personalities. For example, we are in the process of going through our personal garage. Believe it or not, I have a house that, needs tweaks to all of its contents and all of its ever-changing roles that it's playing, especially now. So my husband's office right now is in the garage. I kid you not, because it needs to be. This is the life we're living right now. And so, we had the conversation of, oh, we better do something about the garage. And so really it's the whole, what do you like? My conversation with him was like, well, what do you want it to look like? I have my idea, because trust me, I have a way that I think would work, but it's not going to necessarily work the same way because our brains are very different. What we like to see exposed is different. And so just really leaning into what each person's personality is like and how they envision it, and letting go of that. I mean, it's harder to do when it's your own house, but when it's someone else's house, that's the role.
Yeah. I feel like, with organizing, there's that fine line between being organized and simplified and being OCD.
Oh, for sure. Sure. Oh, hands down. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Now I'm wondering, did you have to resort to kind of different tactics during the shutdown? Because I think most of us can relate to the fact that having all of us at home all the time just means more mess and more confusion and more clutter and less systems that work.
It does. I mean, in certain ways that we change things, Google Calendar, for all the after school and evening events was great pre-COVID, it was awesome. Like we were able to share our calendars with each other and, okay, you've got this kid, I've got this one, or I'm going to get both because I'm in town, or you're going to get both because they took the bus, all of that. After this happened and we're all literally under the same roof, it was like, look at each other like, okay, first week, that's not going to work. So, back to kind of square one of really trying to think of what could we do so that we as a couple are on the same page. And my kids, so my two boys are 11 and 7. And so, we're in that phase of life where I mean, and we've been in this phase of life where my role, our role as parents is to make our kids self-sufficient. I mean, that is like the be all end all. And so coming up with ways that we could organize this realm in our house. So we got a really big whiteboard, and it wasn't pretty. I put it on the windowsill because I didn't want to put it on my wall because I was like, no, this will end one day.
Yeah, right.
And honestly, it was, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like, here's your name. It was like a chart of like who needed to be where, who was going to, and what parent was going to be the go-to. If I had a Zoom call and couldn't be on, or if we were both on at the same time, a Zoom call, we were like, well, fend for yourselves, or only come see me if something's broken, burning, or bleeding, that kind of thing. But so like a whiteboard really helped us. And that was something I had in the house, or something I could easily get through Amazon or not, to as a temporary fix, knowing that I could still use it, and we're still using it as something to kind of organize our days as to who was where, what was going on when. Also having our kids have always had chores, jobs, we call them, and it's just part of like the routine. And so just, in this realm, like that didn't change. The timing might have needed to change, but it was still an expectation that like, in order for all these cogs to work, we all have to pitch in, and, it just has to. It just does. So that was one of the ways that we did it. And at the end of the day, at the end of any kind of work day, school day, time, there was a tidy time, like to get yourself ready for the next day, for the next day's needs, so that the next morning, we're not starting the morning with the iPad's not charged, or I can't find this, or I can't find that. There definitely were certain things that we were just had to be more intentional about. And so those were the things I think that we put into place that needed to be put in place that early on, and we're still using some of them, and we're also tweaking some of them, because I think the other thing that is a piece of this that we have to remember is literally every day it feels like everything is changing. And so as consistent as we can be, the better off we are. However, there is the grace in knowing that we're going to need to be resilient, because everything is changing faster than I think it ever has before for us.
Yeah. I like what you said about the whiteboard and the tidy time. Like, let's just take some time to prepare for tomorrow.
Take some time to prepare for tomorrow. Something else that I noticed, especially so with my youngest, we were really noticing in working from home, and we knew this before, but when you're really with your kids, you notice it. I mean, it's in your face. So is the whole, not necessarily knowing how much time is a certain amount of time. And, there are many apps and all sorts of ways to show kids how much time is left. Like I would say, in 15 minutes, or when the clock gets to this much time, and that's all well and good, and he knows time, but at the same time, he doesn't have a concept of how much time 15 minutes is. So, and I felt like there were so many screens anyway. I'm like, please, let's not have a timer on a screen. So I did make a purchase of something that I brought that I wanted to share with you that has really helped us at our house. And it is one of these like egg timers. And so it is awesome.
Yeah.
I bought it on Amazon. Not sure the name. I could find out for you, but I'm sure you could find it if you just go on Amazon and look up timer kids. There are different colors. We picked red because that's the favorite color. But it's really great because, you know, when I would say to him, you know, you're supposed to be doing Dreambox, which is an app for math with school for 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day. It was okay. And so, you know, sticking on the app of, you know, it's full of games too. So I would say to him, you know, you've got 30 minutes to do this app that you're supposed to do. For 25 minutes, you can do the work that's on there. And then when this goes off, we'll set it for 5, and then you can play the games. You know, just to keep some accountability without me having to sit next to him the whole time, which was the thing that I felt the most flustered about. You know, we're trying to teach autonomy. We're trying to do, and these are the things that they're having to do in school anyway. You know, yes, they're doing it in a group. It's a lot easier when you're in a group to keep kids on task. I mean, it just is. As a teacher and a mom, I mean, it definitely is easier when there's a group of kids doing the same thing than it is when it's an individual child. So, you know, for the fact that he could actually see this time ticking, and then it would go off, and it's going to go off. It's not too bad. It doesn't sound like any other timer, so we know which one it is, which is always nice. But that has really helped him. We continue to use it. I mean, I've used it for, I think, all of us in our family at one time or another, just you know, as a kind of heads up for transitions.
So I had a lot of friends tell me, and I agreed with them, that when we had the school, we had Zoom, and now that we're back either doing whatever routine we're doing with school, homeschooling or
Right.
online or who knows what, or actually going to school, it does give you a certain amount of structure because, you know, from these hours to these hours, this is what we're doing. And it helps you it gives you a jumping board to kind of jump off to structure the rest of your day.
It does.
But some of those days, you know, after school was over and you just had 12 hours of nothing staring at you because and you hadn't planned the outdoor excursion or the this or the that. Those were the times when it was really hard. You know, you'd have one appointment. You'd have a dentist appointment. That was the only thing you had all week, and you'd miss it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you just weren't in the groove of having, okay, I've got these 10 things I have to do today. I got to get this person there. And you just had kind of gotten out of your routine of having errands and meetings and appointments.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. How did you organize those days, those big, long, empty summer days when we didn't have school or camp?
Yeah. And my goodness, I feel like it's so funny. I actually miss them already. It's so interesting to set an alarm and have to be at, you know, my youngest is in school and having to be at a bus stop. I was like, man, I had it good over the summer. The not setting an alarm situation, but you know, how you set those days, we did a lot. So the kids had, and we've kind of always done something similar to this in the summer where there were things that they needed to do before they could have screen time or whatnot over the summers. And so, you know, there were lists of like, you know, obviously the whole make your bed, do the things you need to do, read for a certain amount of time, do play outside for a certain amount of time. I mean, my kids love to be outside, don't get me wrong, but man, if that screen's in front of them and they have a choice, forget it.
Yeah.
They're like, what outside? Like, hello, look where we live.
Yeah. Really lives in Grand Teton, so.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, go climb a mountain, literally. Yeah. No. No. So, you know, there were days, and again, with this whiteboard, there were parts where I would put in like on a Wednesday morning hike, and that would be like the thing we did that morning. And the rest, it might not be a certain time because I needed to kind of ebb and flow with whatever everybody else was trying to do. But at the same time, there was always something every day that was planned, like planned, you know, ish. Because it's interesting as somebody who likes to organize, I do love downtime. I love Like go play, go do your own thing. You know, I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to go handle all this other stuff that I need to do, that I would like you to go keep yourself busy while I try to do that without being interrupted. So, you know, those kinds of things. So we had something to look forward to every day, and that something might have been tiny, because I also didn't want, there's this thing about expectation. And I think this summer was case in point of, you know, things are going to change. Plans are going to need to change. And we can't have an expectation that we're going to get to do all the things we really want to do. So, you know, the big event might be everybody get in the car. We're going to Dairy Queen after dinner to get ice cream. Do you know what I mean? Just those little moments of joy that we're like, well, we did something. Check. Yeah. Next day tomorrow. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to open it up and give everybody time to ask questions if anybody has any, which they may, for Miss Julie, Liz.
Julie, do you still do some of those things, like even though kids are back kind of to school, or, you know, like have Dairy Queen night or whatever, yes, or not really?
We literally did it the other night because John and I both looked at what we made for dinner and we're like, nope, we're not eating this. Let's go to Dairy Queen. Which if you're not from our area, there aren't too many choices for places to go get ice cream. Yeah. If you're on this call. So yeah, no, we definitely do. You know, we are finding joy in the littlest things, you know, I'm like, everybody get outside real quick, and making it like a big deal. And I'm like, listen to the elk. They're like, Mom, I'm like, what? It's exciting. But it's just, yeah, you have to find the joy in every day. There has to be something, and it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be flashy. And I think if there's I think there's many things that we're going to get out of this time. I really do. But I think the fact that like we can hop outside, listen to the elk out of spontaneous time, and laugh about the fact that like this is what we think is hilarious right now, then goodness, how lucky are we? So yeah, we definitely still do silly things, even though now we're more on a schedule.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I am currently going through a divorce. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I also, our lease is ending on our house at the end of October. And a few years ago, whenever I moved into this house, my parents were very excited to bring me a bunch of furniture and things, and like literally drove a semi-sized U-Haul out here of everything. And so now I have all these things that I have to get rid of because I'm obviously downsizing, that were my grandmother's, or were, you know, so they have this sentimental value because they were hers, but they don't, I feel obligated to that I am like the keeper of these things because they were betrothed to me. And so I'm having a really hard time getting rid of like the ceramic duck that she painted in like a, you know, glazing class or whatever. So do you have any, you know, advice on that, on how I can make that process easier? You know, I'm sure that this stuff is going to end up at the browser or in a trash can. And so it just is, something I'm struggling with that I would love some help with.
Sure. That's very common, in that things are given to us from family or different situations, friends, and we do feel like it becomes a part of us, and we feel like we need to hold on to it. And sometimes we can't, you know, for multiple reasons. And so, you know, is there something Is there one thing, or are there two things, and I don't know how many things you have, but if there's one or two things that you love that absolutely remind you of her and that you would like to hold on to, because here's the other side of it. You're not obligated to hold on to it. And sometimes, it's hard it's hard. I mean, It just is. And so if there is one or two things that you are able to hold on to and you want to, you'll make space for that. You'll find space for that. And if there isn't, it's okay. And the other side of it too is there, I'm not sure exactly the things you can't hold on to of hers, could you take a picture of it? Is there a picture of her with the item that you can hold on to that is a smaller piece? I've personally had this, I've received things from my grandmother, and at the time it was kind of a lot, and I needed to get rid of some things, and I literally laid them all out and picked the two. And for me, and it was hard. I mean, it's not easy, especially when you've got a lot of sentimental value tied into things.
Sure.
But I needed to do that. And I have the two things. And one is a cake dish that proudly holds my fruit on it. It's not for fruit. That's okay. But I look at it every day and it reminds me of her. And it reminds me of, the time we had together. And it's the one thing. The rest of it, I let go, and it's okay. I'm fine with it. I passed it along to someone else who needed it, or passed it along to go to another home, or passed it along knowing that somebody else would find joy in it. And that helped me. It was something that those were the things I had to tell myself to let them go. And it definitely helped. But it is hard.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's great advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, Julie.
Sure thing, Cora.
Okay, so this one, what do you do with things that your mother-in-law gave you that may have belonged to her children, and then she's given them to your children, but then once they grow out of those things, they don't want them back, but they don't necessarily want you to get rid of them, but you don't have space for those things, like a wooden rocking chair or horse that a neighbor built for the children 40 years ago, or a little table for games that are, anything like that have been given to me, my 1,300 square feet, 3 children. We're using those things now, but then we desperately need that space back once it's done.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay. Full on, I have been there.
I know, I'm sure everyone else on this call,
yes, raise your hand if you've been given something that you don't, For those of you that can't see your face, there you go. Yes. You know what? If someone gives you something, it is in your possession and you decide what you do with it. I mean, full on. And I think, Corey, you know me, I'm pretty cut and dry with things, but
I like that.
I honestly think that, it was a gift to you. What you choose to do with it is your decision. And you will come to terms with what that means for you. So, yes, there are still a couple things in my house that I am they got to go. They're going to go. They're going to make it out the door, because my kids do not They do not fit in them anymore. They do not need them anymore. I guarantee you my kids are not going to want to pass them down to their kids. And I refuse to hold on to them just for the sake of holding on to them. And that is a personal decision. If if that's the way you feel about it, then by all means, tell them Julie said that it was okay to get rid of it. You can throw me under the bus. It's totally fine. However, if it is something that you do want to hold on to, there is no shame in that. There's no problem in that. That's you. But like, if you need to get rid of it, it's fine. You can either have the conversation that I do not want this anymore. I'm returning. If you like, I'm going to return it to you because I no longer have the space. If you do not want it, then I'm going to pass it along to someone who could use it. And that is what it is. We just don't have, not only do we not have the physical space, we also don't have sometimes the mental space to hold on to all the things that are given to us. And so let it go. If you want to let it go, let it go. And if you're looking for places to where to let it go, I might have ideas for you.
You do. Yeah. Thanks, Julie.
Sure thing, Cora.
Anybody else? I have a question about organizing and children. Sure. And everything. Everyone says children do so much better in structure. So do you do any of that sort of consulting, how to kind of structure people's days and things of that?
It's definitely a conversation. I have not had the conversation professionally in this role yet, but it is a conversation that I've had with lots of friends with kids. And I love that part. I hope that that's something that I get to do professionally too. Because I firmly agree. With all my being, that kids do well with some semblance of structure. Now, I don't mean that there isn't room for open play and, oh my goodness, of all things, like, preach it, like all of that. Here's the tools you have. It's open-ended activities for kids. They should be the ones creating their space and their joy and their environment. But at the same time, yes, I think structure. I think the thing with structure is the piece that goes with the structure is the transitions into the next thing, and that is that can be so challenging. I think that is, if anybody would have told me when I was pregnant or had little kids that transitions were like the be all end all, I would have been like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. But holy moly, transitioning our kids and letting them know like what's next or what's coming up is so huge. Think about what it's like for an adult to be told, oh, gotta get in the car right now. Gotta do this. Nope, we gotta do this. I don't like that anyway. That's just not my personality. But at the same time, when you're a child, holy cow, wait, what are we doing? Where are we going? What's the expectation? What do I need? Well, I was really having a good time doing what I was doing right now. I don't want to leave. I don't want to do no. And then therefore it's challenging, and if we can set up systems of, let's say that it ranges, it so varies with ages and stages. For my 11-year-old, one of the things, he and I have similar personalities, and we love to know what's next. We love to have like some semblance of, let me know where you need me to be and what time, and I will like adjust myself to get myself there. So for him, one of our transitions right now is that he knows that every day at 3:00 he has to be ready, and being ready for him, he's going to cross country practice. And so ready for him is there's like 3 things he needs: a water bottle, a mask, and tennis shoes. And, you know, he knows that by 3:00, he's got to be ready to go in the car and all that. Now, do we leave at 3? No, we leave later because I'm usually not quite ready. But if that, you know, if that enables him to know the next step, then that is so, that is much smoother for us than, oh my gosh, it's this time, we got to go, you know, so that when those times happen, because they do, because real life, there are moments where it's, oh no, you know, we forgot about this, or they're fewer and farther between, and it kind of sets the stage. You know, for transitions, like for my youngest, something that's really worked for him in the morning, because I don't know. I mean, moment of silence for mornings and getting out of the door. Like, I just, like, it can be such an exciting experience, to say the least. But, you know, for my youngest, really the autonomy of me not saying, okay, we got to go. Okay, I need you to do this next. Okay, I need you to do this next. What has helped with him in that transition from home to school is we literally have a checklist for him of the things that have to happen to get out the door every day. And is it something that I personally want to have? No. Is it something that works for him? Yes, it does, without me having to like start my day harping. And so, this is what I brought it with me to show you what it looked like in case we talked about this, but it's literally a whiteboard because it changes nearly every day. And it sits on our kitchen counter. It's there every morning. And this is all that has to happen. And if we use the timer, we use the timer, you know, just to show the time. But it helps with, he knows what to do, but we forget, you know, there's so many things that are running through our minds every day. You know, it's not just adults that are like, have 8 million things going on. It's kids too. And if we're able to give them a little focus on the task at hand, and it helps him. And so we go to the bus stop and we're ready. Like, he's ready.
Mm-hmm.
And calm and like in a good space to head off to school. So, but I mean, it's different, I think, with every kid. So.
Yeah, it's absolutely different with every kid. And it's also hard for me always to remember how long it takes them to do things, you know. It doesn't take me that long to get dressed and brush my teeth and, you know, all that. And also how much time they sometimes need during transitions. I'm a big one, you know, like I'll call them in from playing outside and say, it's time to read. You know, we're going to, even if I'm reading out loud to them and they don't have to do anything.
Right.
And I'm kind of frustrated because they can't just walk in, sit down and settle down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do you need like 10 minutes to like change this whole thing to sitting down now?
Yeah.
And so things like that, those little transitions, or from playtime to dinner.
Yes.
It's not pretty when it's like they've been playing outside and then boom, they sit down right away.
Yes.
You know, they need those, whereas I can go from outside to inside and sit down and fine, you know.
Yes.
I always have to remind myself of how much time, you know, they need to really transition to the next thing.
It's true. It's true. It's so, you know, and our kids, I mean, my goodness, our kids are definitely our biggest teachers in all of that. I mean, whenever I think of transitions, I automatically think to preschool world of the Big Five and the whole process. I mean, it's so ingrained in how much time certain things need in order to smoothly transition. And you know what? As adults, we're so used to things taking a while. Excuse me, someone's at my door. But I'm not going to get it right now. But they totally. So I always revert to that as like a reminder of I'm not on the same timetable as my children, and I need to pause for that. I need to kind of account for that in my day. And it's something that challenges me every day still.
Mhm.
I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah. Well, does anyone else have any questions? I think we should probably wrap up. Julie has someone at her door.
Do you want to
Go
get
ahead,
it?
Angela.
I just had it. Do you want to get it first or no?
Oh no, my son got it. So yay, good job.
I just had it. So, in this like picking back on this conversation of like structure and helping our kids thrive and setting them up for success, I'm also getting with some of the older kids some pushback around like autonomy too. Like I'm not going to be around forever, so this
For
is
sure.
also your opportunity to start setting yourself up for success. But then I watch her like closet a complete disaster and mess, and I'm like, but I organized it so that you could find your clothes, so that you could find the shirts, so that you would know which ones are short sleeves and which ones were long sleeves. And then I get frustrated and I'm mad at her when maybe I should be mad at myself for like thinking that she was gonna keep it organized. But like one thing we're having, and it translates into not just material organization, but she wants to do her homework in the mornings. And I'm like, no, the homework needs to be done at night. And she's like, you are trying to control me, and I know when I can do my homework best, and I'm fresh, and I'll wake up early. That lasts like 2 days.
Sure.
And then it's like she's doing the homework as she's eating breakfast, and I'm like, you need to get dressed. So what is the balance between
Yes.
like you imposing your type A organizational self on your child,
Mhm.
and then your child realizing that like they need to figure out the system that works for them
Yes.
too,
Yeah.
It's so, do you have any tips for like that balance? And that's
Sure. I mean, I will say, and what you said earlier in the fact that, we are really trying to our whole goal is to set our kids up for success, or set our kids up with like strategies that we know that have worked for us. And so that they can, and then incorporate these things into their lives, especially, yeah. I mean, as your kids get older, it's like, yeah, you still need me, but in a different way. Like you should be able to handle a lot of this stuff, because you don't turn 18 and magically know how to do this stuff. That's not real life. Oh my goodness. So, we have had and this is personal experience that I can speak of, but we've had instances of that, especially what you're talking about with schooling, of just, but that's not the way I work. And I like to do it this way, and all of this. And I know you need to do it this way, but I want to do it. I like the whole morning thing. Well, I'm going to do it in the morning. Same conversation has happened in my house for sure. And so it happened. Like, I was like, okay, here's the deal. How many things do you have? Like, I had to structure it a little bit, still had to have a hand in it, just so that we could test it out, try it out. Cause their voice matters. And I want them to know that. Like we totally want our kids to know that we are listening to them and we trust that they know what they're doing. We can still model structure in that. So in that instance, like I was like, well, what do you have that you need to get done? He's like, oh, I have 3 assignments. Okay, well, how about this? We're going to compromise here. You're going to do 2 of these assignments before whatever the designated time. For us, it was before dinner. And then if you want to wait till tomorrow morning and wake up early and do the other one, try it out. Let's see what happens. And it didn't necessarily go to plan the way that said child thought it was going to go. And you know what? That's his responsibility. So assignment wasn't finished. And there are repercussions to that. And that is literally like how he's learning to deal with that. And while it's hard, I think it's hard for me to, it is hard for me to see that. I know your personality. I know how you work. I know that this is going to be challenging for you, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but you're going to need to learn this on your own too. in a guided way. I'm glad he didn't wait to do all 3 assignments in the morning, because that would have been a situation. But the fact that like one didn't get turned in on time and he now has to deal with whatever that, I mean, and that's on him. Like that's his, you know, if he was fine with it, great. If he's not, we'll talk about other ways to move on. I mean, you know, I think he was able to turn it in. I feel like there's a lot of there seems to be some flexibility a lot more now with kids and families and schooling and things, at least that we're seeing on turning things in and going back in for
The trick,
credit.
I think, is not letting yourself get caught up in it, in their like, you know, teachable moment. Because
Yep.
then I like lose my, I'm like, see, you're rushing through your homework now because you're not dressed, and then it's on me, right? Now we're late.
Now we're late.
You can't get dressed because you're trying to finish your homework, because you're trying to eat breakfast, and
Yeah.
my stress level gets up, and I'm like,
Those
why
are the
do
moments.
I have to deal? Like,
Yes.
it's not your deal, it becomes my deal, and I internalize
Yes.
it all, and it's like, how do I need to like walk away.
Yeah, well, and there is that. I mean, honestly, there are definitely moments where I have literally, many moments. I mean, probably daily, where I've literally walked away, closed the door, and been like, I know this is my circus
learning
and
a
the
lot.
monkeys, but this is not my problem right now.
Yeah, but that's the trick. It's like, how do you let go of, like, you know they failed, but you want them to learn the lesson, and yet you don't want to keep doing it for them. You don't want to keep like organizing their life for them.
No, and you can't. I mean, it's just not, that is so not the whole, that is not serving our kids, is to, you know, keep doing that for them. Yeah. Hang in there, mama. Text me when you like, you know.
When I figured it out.
Walk
I mean,
away.
hopefully by the time she goes to college, and maybe even then she'll be.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to call me one day and ask me for help on your homework. I promise you will.
Yeah, I still call my mom, so it happens.
Anything else for Julie?
Hi, Julie. I have one
Hi,
thing I
Ellie.
want to add. Hi, I'm Ellie.
Hi.
You're so familiar to me, so nice to see you.
Nice to see
in
you.
the Zoom realm. So I loved that, charts are so great for young kids. I don't know, up to, I'm in the 6 and the 4-year-old range, and charts have always been really neat. Like a going to bed chart if you were having struggles, and a calming chart if you wanted to show them the different modalities they could use to calm. But so anyway, I think that's great. Charts are really, I've found them very effective. And I really liked that you were creating a more non-hurried morning experience. Your intention behind that was to make it less of that struggle. And you were manifesting, what do we want? How do we need to change it? And you created that. So good job. One thing we did last year, I learned it from a meditation friend, Nancy Taylor, who lives in Jackson. She taught me this technique that she had done with her children. A moment of silence before they leave at the door. And I'm sorry, I actually exited for a little while. I don't know if that came up, but the moment of silence is that the intention around that to organize your to have that moment of calm and silence. So we have a little meditation bell. Last year, my daughter went to kindergarten at Coulter, and this year we're homeschooling, and then I have a toddler as well. And so but that bell can be used, before going out for an activity, or the bell could be rung throughout the day if somebody maybe needs a reset. Like I've always told them, you can go and ring that if you feel that I'm getting tense, or if anybody needs a moment of calm,
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Wanted to share that.
I love too that the fact that your kids have picked up on it and are calling out what they need themselves.
Right.
I mean, how empowering is that?
Oh, thank you. Here's the bell. I have it right here.
Oh, very nice. Great. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this talk. It's been great.
Great. I have a little song to end us on. It's one of my new favorites. It's by the Highwomen. It's called "My Name Can't Be Mama Today." It's really funny. I don't know how to. I have to play it on my Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Really fun.
Things are getting better, but right now it's not looking great. My ceiling's still spinning from the night that went too late. I used to sleep this up and let this pain just melt away. Now for tiny feet and hallways calling out my name. Not that I don't love you, I wouldn't touch the hands of time. Not that I don't long to feel your tiny hand in mine. I'm not a perfect woman, Lord, I don't wish it all away. My name can't be Mama Day.
Bye, ladies. Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.